Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. This is the last in my strategy series videos for Axis and Allies Global 1940, second edition. We're talking about the ANZAC today. And ANZAC, I mean, you're not a very powerful nation. You only start with 10 IPCs. But you do have a role in the game, and the role is fairly pivotal. I think you're better off playing ANZAC than you are Italy. Italy seems to have a lot more pressure on them. Japan, they could overwhelm you right in the beginning if they want, but really they've got bigger fish to fry than you, and that works out in your favor if you're the ANZAC player. But likely if you're the ANZAC player, you're probably also the American player or the British player or Russia. You likely have more of a role in this game than just simply playing ANZAC. So that's good for you, but because there's not a lot to do as the ANZAC player, very little, and it's because of your limited income that there's a limited amount that you can do, and really you're at the mercy of what's going on around you. You're not going to dictate what the events in the Pacific. You're just going to react to them, or just stay out of the way. Sometimes that's the best thing you can do. So let's just get into this here and see what it is that you can do. Okay, so like I said, you start with 10 IPCs, and you have a couple of fighters over here, and you've got a cruiser, a destroyer, a transport. You've got a few ground units here, and you've got a fighter over here. So you start the game with 3 fighters and 3 boats, and you're going to need fighters and boats and ground units. Right next to you here is the Money Islands, right up here. That is these 4 islands: Celebes, Borneo, Java, and Sumatra. And those 4 islands together make up a national objective for Japan. If they can take those 4 islands, then they get not only the 15 IPCs that they're worth, but also 5 for a national objective. And so that's 20 IPCs if Japan owns those 4. So really the biggest thing that you can do in this game until late in the game, hopefully that you get a chance to do more when the Americans are coming across the water. Maybe you can do more then, but until that time, or if that never happens, then probably the most important, biggest thing that you can do in an offensive role is to take out one of those islands here and there, to take away that national objective and to give you the extra money. Every one of those islands is worth lots. Java is the most likely, because this is the one that's the easiest for you to get to, and also it's the furthest one away from where Japan is. So you kind of have to pick your spots, and when Japan is in the process of doing something else, where they have something else they need to do more than take back the Money Islands, or if they just happen to be in a lull where they had to go back with their transports and load up again, then that's the time that you go, and that's the time that you take off, take out one of those islands and take off that national objective for them that they can get. But you don't want to use all your boats doing that, because you're going to lose them again. It doesn't take Japan much. They don't have to bring much, and they have a big air force. It doesn't take them much to take out boats that took you 3 or 4 or 5 turns to build. They just basically sneeze on what you get, and you're sunk. That's how weak you are in this game. The limited income that you have means that you can only build 1 boat or so per turn. So that's the best that you can do offensively, but that pales in comparison to your biggest role, and that is to not lose your capital here in Sydney. Japan needs 6 victory cities in order to win the game on the Pacific side of the board. 6 cities on the Pacific side, sorry, they can win the whole game for their side if they can take out those 6. And this one is important, because once they take out the 4 easy ones, Hong Kong, Manila, Tokyo and Shanghai that they start the game with, and once they take those 4 out, then they just need to take one of the others. There's Calcutta, there's Sydney, there's Honolulu in Hawaii, and there's San Francisco, which they probably don't have a hope in hell of getting. So this one might be one of the easiest ones that they can take. It's either between this one and Honolulu. So you need to keep this at all costs. And what I would recommend early in the game, as much fun as it is to buy boats and everything, I would recommend that you put ground troops on, because when you look at it, don't count these. These are not going to get to fight unless they bring planes in. So they're not going to be as valuable in a fight. But you only have 4 infantry, of which one will probably, at least one of them will be gone on this transport here. And you have 1 artillery, and then you've got your 3 fighters. That's not much to defend with. So you have to constantly watch the Japanese player to see how many transports they have in range of Australia, because when they do decide to come down, like I said, you have a limited income and you can't put that much stuff on one turn. So if you didn't think ahead, if you didn't start putting stuff on to begin with, then you're going to get caught. You're not going to have enough time to build up your forces enough to withstand a major assault from Japan. So I would recommend you put some ground units on before you start building a navy. And then when you build a navy, then just build it slowly and keep them out of the way. Just keep them down here in Sea Zone 62 outside of Sydney. Here is another good place, Sea Zone 54, because it has a naval base as well, and it also has an air base. If you have the 3 fighters that you start the game with on there, then these 3 fighters can be scrambled into Sea Zone 54. So whatever you have for boats are sitting here. You also have 3 fighters that for all intents and purposes are sitting there for defensive purposes as well. So build your ground forces first, and you don't need 30 or 40 of them. You just, if you put on, say, 5 or 6 of them, that goes a long ways, because when you do see them coming, then you have that one turn that you can put them on, and you spend all your income on putting on ground forces. But just make sure that you're not sitting there with only 1 and then you see them coming, because then you can only afford 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and it's too late by that time. Most important thing, keep Sydney. Do not lose Sydney. That is going to lose the game. As the ANZAC player, you can't win the game. Nothing that you can do is going to turn the tide of this game. There's nothing groundbreaking that you're going to be able to do. It's unlikely you're going to conquer Japan. I mean, that might happen 1 out of every 1,000 games when the Japanese player is looking the other way and the American player is fighting with the Japanese, and they did all the heavy lifting, and then you slip in and drop your 1 dude on Japan. That could happen, I suppose, but you're not going to win this game as the ANZAC player, but you can lose this game by losing your capital. That could be the last nail in the coffin for the Allies, and right there you've just lost the game for everybody on your side. So that is important. Keep your capital. Now you do have 2 national objectives. One of them is all you need to do as the game sits right now is to take Dutch New Guinea. Because there's a series of islands over here: New Guinea, New Britain, Solomon Islands. What it is, okay, Dutch New Guinea and New Guinea, New Britain, and the Solomon Islands. So these 4 islands here, if you can hold those 4 islands when you're at war with Japan, you will get 5 IPCs extra on the collective income phase. Not when you're not at war. If Japan has not gone on a J1 attack or a J2 attack and it's before then you don't get it then. You get it once you're at war with them. And the other one is, if you have all of your originally controlled territories, which is this is your originally controlled territories and New Zealand, then that is that plus the Allies still hold this territory here in Malaya, then that is another national objective, and you get another 5 IPCs. So there's 10 IPCs extra that are available to you. This one probably won't last forever because the Japanese player, he's going to want to come down here. His objective will probably be to go to India. And this is one of the things they want to take out here. There's a naval base here, so that's attractive for them. That's a good territory to have, and so Japan is probably going to want to have that. So you're only going to get that national objective for a while. As far as this other national objective goes, Japan could take that out anytime they want. Any one of these 4 territories that I listed, they can take that anytime they want. The question is, do they want to? Do they want to expend the energy and bring their transports and use them for that purpose? It's probably not likely. You know, like it can happen, but it probably won't happen. So you should be able to get that national objective, although it's not guaranteed. And if they do take it back, then, you know, just hide and wait for them to leave again, and then go get that territory back. So one of the things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a transport up here, which you're probably going to lose if you're at war. If Japan did a J1 attack, you're going to go up there and you're going to take that territory and you're going to put your pie on there, and there you go. That's your national objective. The other thing that I would recommend that you do if you're a new player and you haven't played this game much, you see these sea zones and how they're cut up like this. They're not just square territories, right? This one's square, but there's different routes and everything. Get to know those routes and how far you can go. Like from here in Sydney, it looks like you're a long ways away from Java, which is way over here. But look, there's a harbor here or a naval base here, so you go 1, 2, 3. You're in Java from New South Wales, you know. So just get to know how far away everything is. This territory here, this also has a naval base. You could actually reach Hawaii. Not that you would go to Hawaii, but if you're the American player, you can reach C-Zone 54 from Hawaii, and there's probably going to be a lot of boats there. But that's important for you to know, because you know that it might be an idea to try to draw the Japanese player into this territory here so the Americans can take out some of their boats. You don't want to draw the whole Navy in. I'm just saying, like, if you could draw this aircraft carrier in, that's pretty sweet. So, you know, you could put something there that's attractive to them and have them come down there. But anyway, just get to know your territories down here, because they're not all square, and there are different routes. And depending on where you're sitting, whether you can go 2 or 3 spaces, that's going to inform you. Now, before you're at war, you can actually take out these territories. The Dutch player is on your side, but you don't just automatically get these 4 for your income if you go over there. Sorry, you don't automatically get them just because you're friends with that guy. Just the same as you had to take this one out from the Dutch. That's not an attack move. These are non-combat movements because you're allied with this guy. So you bring this over here, there you go, you can take that. This is if the Japanese player has not declared war on the Western Allies, that being you and the UK and the United States. If they have not declared war yet, you can still go and get these islands. That's not a declaration of war against anybody. As far as your political situation, you and the UK are basically exactly the same. An attack on one is an attack on the other. An attack by one is an attack with the other. So I don't recommend that you attack Japan before they attack you. If they don't decide to go on a J1 attack or a J2 attack and attack you first, I would leave them. Because if they attack you, then that brings the Americans in the war. But if you attack them, then that does not bring the Americans in the war. And the UK and ANZAC cannot stand up to the Japanese. So once you've attacked them, then they can kick the shit out of you, and there's nothing the Americans can do about it. So that's why I don't recommend that you do that. It would have to be an extraordinary situation, or it's already the third turn and the Americans are coming into the war on the very next turn anyway. That could be why you might do that. Like, I wouldn't do it before the third turn, that's for sure. I just don't think that's a very good idea. Just stick to what you can do. Don't try to do too much. Don't think, okay, I've got 4 or 5 boats now. I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to do everything, because you're going to get those boats taken away from you, and you can't build boats that easy. It's going to take you a while with the limited income that you have. You have to make sure you have your ground troops to protect your capital. So that means you have to buy those, and you have to buy the boats. It takes you a while to have boats. So once you get boats, use them well. Try if you're going to go out there, try to put them in a place where they're not going to get taken out, because you can always build more and more and more and more until the Japanese player decides it's time to go after you. If they do, it's not a guarantee that they will ever come after you. But when the Americans do come across, then that's when you're part of the attack, because then you're playing in concert with them. Let's just move these guys off the Caroline Islands here, the Japanese guys. So what happens here is then you're looking at a situation where you've got all of the Americans in there, and it's not going to be these guys, it's going to be something else, right? But there's these guys, and there's you. So you've got some protection there. And then when it comes to you're past the Japanese turn there, okay, so if these boats are sitting here and they're stronger than that, then the Americans go in with their boats and their planes, and they take them down to where there's just there's just an aircraft carrier left or something like that. Then it's your turn, and you go in and you take that aircraft carrier. It's like a can opener that I showed you earlier on the Italian video. That's something that you can do once the Americans are ready to come across the water. And depending on how you play, the Americans might come across earlier. I like to keep them in Hawaii for a long time and concentrate on Europe, but that doesn't mean that's the way that you're going to play the game, or the way that your friends play the game with you, whoever's playing the American player. And if it's you, maybe that's not how you play the game. But the way I play the game, the Americans are not coming across the water anytime soon. But when they do, that's when you can get into the fight. And that's why you want to have lots of boats when that happens. That's why you want to build up a navy, and why you don't want to lose your whole navy before that happens. Because later on in the game, you can be very useful like that. So just stick to what you can do. There's an expression, just let the singers sing and the dancers dance. I mean, the Russians, they're going to fight like hell to keep their capital. The Americans, they're going to be putting boots on the ground in Europe. The British, they're going to be stopping the Japanese, and they're going to be taking out Africa. And you're going to be the wild card in the Pacific. You're going to just disrupt the Money Islands as much as possible without losing too much. You're going to hold on to your capital. That's your job. And later in the game, you're going to be a can opener with the Americans. That's going to be your role in this game. Don't think that you're better than that. Don't think that you're bigger than that, because you'll get smacked around pretty quickly. If you venture out with your boats, you're going to get smacked around. So that's there's not much more to tell you other than that. Just find your way around down here. Find how far you can go in each sea zone. Keep an eye on Japan. It doesn't really matter how many boats that they have. Their boats can take out your boats. What matters is how many transports they have. That's what's really going to hurt you. So if they've got 3 or 4 transports, and they've got enough dudes and land units to put on those transports, that's when you should be worried. But if all they've got is aircraft carriers and cruisers and battleships, yeah, they can take your navy out, but that's all they can do. They can't take your land, and that's what's really important. So watch out how many transports there are, and watch out how many spaces away there are. You're not just looking at the territories, the sea zones, to see where you can go. You're trying to get a lay of the land, knowing, okay, from the Philippines here, if the Japanese are sitting here, there's a naval base there. They can go 3 spaces from there, not 2. So they can go 1, 2, 3. They can make it to Sea Zone 54 from there. The Caroline Islands, where can they go from there? 1, 2, 3. They can get to there too. Actually, they can go further than that. Look at it. If they go here, 1, 2, they can make it all the way down to Sea Zone 62 from the Caroline Islands. So you have to learn and memorize and be aware of it throughout the whole game, how far you can get through these sea zones with the naval bases that are on the board. Are they at a naval base? Are they not at a naval base? Are you at one? Are you not at one? Just get to know where everybody can reach, because they could be way up here. That doesn't mean that they can't attack you way down here. They could have a bunch of things on the Caroline Islands, and they can take out your capital if they have transports there. So be aware of that. Don't lose your capital. Whatever you do, don't lose your capital. And you can hold that capital the whole game. If you bought nothing other than just infantry for the entire game, I don't think they could ever take your capital out. I mean, it would take them so many transports just to get down there. I don't think they could do it. But, you know, it's not much fun to do that. But I mean, you could hold your capital the whole game. That would be just about a guarantee. So just remember that. Remember to put an infantry or 2 on every single turn. Put a few on to begin with, and then put 1 or 2 on every turn, and you will always be safe there. Then you can buy boats. You can buy 1 a turn. You can buy 1 or 2 per turn, depending on if you have your national objectives. And just wait. Bide your time. Remember that you can make it a long ways from Sydney, or from Queensland. You can make it a long ways into these islands here. Just wait until you have an opportunity where the Japanese aren't anywhere near you, and go and get one of them. Don't hang out there. If you can get there and then get your boats out of there, get your boats out of there. Just keep taking islands one at a time and get out of there. And that's all you can do. You're basically just a guerrilla fighter in the water against the Japanese. The Americans are the ones doing the heavy lifting on this side of the board. Anyway, that's coming to the end of my video here. Coming to the end of my strategy series. I'm not going to bother with making a video for France or with China. I mean, each one of those videos might last like 3 minutes long, because there's really not a lot to say. As a player, you're not going to be just one of those nations anyway. You're going to be one of those nations and somebody else. So there's not much point. I mean, with China there, you're just going to try and make it as hard as you can for the Japanese to take you out. Try to last as long as you can, and all you have is infantry and a fighter there. So it's not really all that exciting to talk about that. And really, I mean, every single game is different. Okay, this dude is here this time instead of there, you know. And France, I mean, they're never going to buy anything, right? They're what you see there with the blue guys on, that's all that's ever going to be on the board. And they're going to be losing them just about every single turn. And it'll only be 3 or 4 turns in, and there might only have 1 guy left, that guy in Syria or something. That's all he's going to have. So there's nothing to talk about with him. So this will be the end of my strategy serials. Maybe somewhere down the road I'll do another video with different strategies. My next video will probably be customizations. As you can see, I've recently got these different infantry units, and I've got them for most of my nations. I'm just waiting for the Russian and the Italian units to arrive, and I've got some more German units coming as well. And then my next video is going to be on customizations, not just on the infantry units, but on all the customizations that I have, because that's probably the most questions that I get on the comments section on my videos. It doesn't matter what the video is about. People want to know, oh, where'd you get this thing? Where can I find one of those? You know. So I will post. I will make a video, but with all of them, and I will tell you where you can get each and every one of these things, including this gorgeous map. I have a video just on this map. You can go there now if you want and check it out. Global 40 Maps by Billsy and Young Grasshopper. It's a beautiful map, and there are other maps available as well, and they can be yours. They're free downloads. It costs you money to have the map made, but it's free to download the files. So I will show you all of that in my next video. Anyway, that's my strategy series. That's my video on ANZAC. So take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.